Welcome to Turtle WoW News with Vrograg. I'm your news anchor orc, Vrograg Fishslayer, here to bring you all the biggest stories for the month of September 2024. Let's get to it. I'm the orc, and here's the news. With patch 1.17.2 likely to come out in October, a lot of last-minute teasers were revealed to the community, from content to adjustments and other media. Just this last week, 2 teaser posts from the Turtle team came out fielding speculation concerning racial ability changes. During last week's radio broadcast, we briefly touched on a singular post, seemingly directed at Forsaken's Shadow Resistance racial passive being changed to another passive called Vengeance. That initial post by Dragonovi mentioned the team reviewing all racial abilities for 1.17.2. Days later, another post was made showing even more racials, either being added or adjusted. New racials included Disassembler and Swiftness of the Rangers. Existing racials, presumably getting some kind of change, according to the post, include High Elves Kelderai Meditation, Gnomes Escape Artist, Goblins Exit Strategy and Prospecting, Orcs Hardiness, and finally, both Humans Perception and Spirit Passive appeared to be in the graphic. Little is known about what these changes will be or even who might be inheriting the 2 new abilities. So bearing in mind previously announced adjustments coming to how weapon skill will work, which commonly interact with racial weapon skills, 1.17.2 is looking like player race choices might have more impact than ever before. The community enjoyed a host of sneak peeks into media being used for the new patch in September. There was artwork from team artist Lionel Schramm showing a fierce Night Elf Druid pushing back the darkness in the flashy new 3.5 tier set design. Lionel's work is also being used for the loading screen for Upper Karazhan as well. New music is slated for the patch. Revealed this month, album artwork was posted showing a lovely rendition of the wilds of Gilligim and Lapidus Isles. These custom Turtle WoW zones will enjoy a new soundtrack composed by Gabriel Contreras. Not to be outdone, Turtle WoW's version of Black Morass Dungeon will also be getting new music composed by Ivan Nikolic and Joseph Kiss. All of these tracks are available now to listen to. Links will be shared in the description of the video. Screenshots of other in-game content came out as well. A new mount perhaps to be sought by those undertaking the boring challenge, new visuals for shaman abilities, and this cute little duck model. There were even sneak peeks into early renditions of buildings for future patches like the Grim Reaches zone, Dun Cathas, and some with no name like this vista of a dwarven dam settlement and this auspicious ruined castle. Of course, this Twitter post showing a house in Northwind did get a little more attention due to how it was worded. Just to quickly clear the air, the flavor text of this post wasn't truly a teaser for player housing. Moriana from the Turtle team responded to community member questions about the post and said, quote, "If we would tease housing, it would be with a proper announcement, not a simple tweet. So for now, lofty dreams of being able to afford a place to live will have to remain out of reach in all realities." The big question remains, when will the patch drop? Sadly, little hard news has come out to answer this question. However, in some of my off-the-record chats with server officials, I've learned that development is in the home stretch, and we're very likely to receive a release date in the coming days. The last big content patch was 1.17.0, 17.1 being considered a more minor patch. The community got a date for 17.0 last year on September 30th, and it released only 4 days later on October 3rd. So we are coming up on 2 milestones for Turtle WoW. 1.17 being a year old on the 3rd, and on the 6th of October, Turtle WoW will be celebrating its 6th birthday. If I had to guess, the patch will happen in October and likely in the first half. But only time and the fickle nature of developer hell knows the truth. In other top news, Tel'abim will be bidding farewell to their once-in-a-server-lifetime Scourge event. The cunning plan to invade Azeroth in a surprise attack from Northrend has all but been thwarted by heroes all over Tel'abim. Just 2 days after the arrival of the Scourge's forward operating base, known as Naxxramas, raiders led by Mbappe Speedhack were the first to deliver a mighty blow against the undead horde by defeating Kel'Thuzad, the commander of the invasion force. I was fortunate enough to have captured the moment the decisive blow was struck. For their efforts, they were awarded a Conqueror of Naxxramas title by Jamie, and a commemorative shirt that has 1 frost resistance, a neat particle effect, and commemorates the day they bested Naxxramas. Congratulations to them and all the other teams working their way through the floating ziggurat above Eastern Plaguelands. Happy to see that even in Tel'abim, the people won't put up with the Scourge's machinations. That wraps up top news for the month of September. Let's go over to the auction house and see what the markets have been up to. Welcome to Market Watch for the month of September 2024. I'm your market analyst, Vrograg Fishlayer. All our data is gathered from numbers provided by WoWauctions.net, the industry leader in auction house reports. I throw it all together to make indexes of various market sectors, as well as a S&P 200, an index of the 200 biggest and most influential commodities in the economy. With September just behind us, let's take a look at the month in review. First, the Tel'abim. This month, the Alliance S&P 200 lost about a gold and finished at 6 gold 10. The Horde, meanwhile, ended the month with a bang, skyrocketing from around 7 gold to double, and finished the month just under 14 gold. Much of this month, Market Watch has been watching with great interest as the gap between the S&V on the Alliance and Horde side grew larger and larger. The recent move from the Horde demonstrates how big this variance is, and for the whole of 2024 is record-breaking. Keep in mind, however, that this isn't a one-to-one for how much things cost on the Horde side. When making indexes, if an item isn't in stock, rather than giving it a value of 0, the entry is skipped. This has the unintended consequence of showing a very unstable index, which I think is the case for the Horde S&P 200 this month. A good example of this is by looking at the Horde's other indexes, which all had items well stocked. Mining came down this month, losing half its value. Tailoring had a strong mid-month performance, but on the month came down by 11 silver. And herbalism lost about the same amount of value this month. By comparison, the Alliance fared similarly. Mining lost half of its value in trading during September. Tailoring had a big mid-month performance and settled down to around 1 gold. And herbalism also lost ground to about 40 silver. So even though this program relies on indexes for larger market trends, don't be deceived. We now understand that the Horde market is likely undersupplied in lower value items, which is a sign of growth given current population numbers. Overall, prices did trend lower, and now is the best time to buy before the 1.17.2 gold rush. Over on Nordanaar, the S&P 200 is trending down ever so slightly, and in September lost 20 silver of value. For 2024, the index is still showing some moderate growth, but the last few months demonstrated a downward trend. This is to be expected with the current patch having been out for so long. This often leads to big market movers like raiders to settle down before more content comes out. An easy way to see this is by examining 3 indexes of high impact on high-end raiders: fishing, herbalism, and blasted lands buffs. Fishing came down by a little more than a gold to finish September at 15 gold 25. This continues a trend from much of the summer, showing that since late June, the fishers on Nordanaar have seen prices reduced by about 25%. Herbalism had much of the same story, losing a little ground this month, but since late June, has likewise lost about a quarter of its value. Blasted lands buffs gained a little ground in September, but since midsummer are also down around 30%. During this market doldrum, one bright spot has been shining through: the Essence and Elements Index. The index had a powerful September, gaining 50 silver, and in the last few months has shown continued interest in the various elements and essences that elemental foes drop. Big ticket items like Essence of Air and Essence of Fire, both up 25%, and Elemental Water were big contributors to this trend. This is good news for good old-fashioned mob farming for profits, as seemingly the demand for these items remains strong. It's been mentioned here several times, but in the run-up to 1.17.2, with the market on Nordanaar as soft as it is, now is as good a time as any to make investments because surely the market will explode when the patch drops. Whether it's gem speculation for jewel crafting or just trying to get Blood of the Mountain at a discount, make sure to get the most bang for your buck. That's all the time we have for our monthly market watch. I hope you found some of the information here useful. Make sure to use wowauctions.net for all of your own market research. Remember to keep an eye on your coin, otherwise someone else will for you. Let's head back to the studio for the Community Bulletin. Welcome to the Turtle Wow News' Community Bulletin for all the community news and updates on events going on in your community, for the player and by the player, for the month of September 2024. And boy, it was a busy month. With the patch forthcoming, there are only a limited number of lockouts left for speedrunners before times are reset. All previous records will be archived, but with the new patch comes a clean slate according to Vita, who runs the archive. With time running out, let's take a look at where the standings are. This last week, Mortality made one more valiant attempt at grabbing the quad crown, but fell 11 minutes short on Naxxramas. This most recent time was accomplished on the 26th, with seemingly no other competition for Molten Core, Blackwing Lair, or AQ40. Will Mortality be able to get all 4 records on the 40-man raids? Or will Doom Turtles or Hard Knock Society make them share the podium? Stay tuned to the leaderboards to find out. In organized PvP, there were a bevy of events being organized, from regular Sunnyglade Valley dates aimed at teaching new players the ins and outs of the custom battleground, to organized city raids, and even low-level twink brackets. So if you like some good old-fashioned fighting and want to make some friends, remember to keep an eye on the event postings. The hardcore raiding community celebrated a milestone on the 20th. Hard Chores obtained the first known Thunder Fury held by mortal hands. The lucky recipient was Elysia, who was surrounded by other members of Hard Chores in Silithus when the team took on Thunderan. Hopefully we'll see that Thunder Fury put to good use as Hard Chores continues to push the envelope of hardcore raiding in Turtle WoW. Best of luck trying for AQ40. In the roleplay world, September saw the continued treachery of the Cult of the Damned, led by their shadowy master Alucard. This bold teacher used Scholomance to teach others about the art of necromancy. As I understand it, this evil group wishes to keep this meeting secret, but we here at Turtle WoW News don't mind shining a light on nefarious plots. So if you're role-playing and you see this group meeting, make sure to get to a safe place and report what you see to the proper authorities. Earlier this month, Ziverhall, in an act of incredible courage, posted that he was going to stage a heist on the Shellcoin headquarters in Booty Bay, even inviting people to the event. According to reports, the brazen cash grab worked and the thieves left via boat, seen last in Ratchet. According to a manifesto posted by the criminal element, this robbery was orchestrated in part because Shellcoin is allegedly an elaborate confidence game that robs people of their gold. While this is hard to verify, I always urge caution for any investor. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. In happier news, this last weekend the Turtle Fair was hosted in southern Loch Modan. I wasn't able to personally attend, but after reviewing footage captured by Rudrid Whispersong, who filmed the event, the fair seemed quite festive, including performances, games, refreshments, and seemingly a large conga line of turtles. Based on the account, it seems that once again the roleplay GMs truly outdid themselves in helping to build the ideal area for the event. My thanks to them and those running the fair. What a great way to kick off fall. And speaking of fall, the Nightsong Sentinels commemorated the autumnal equinox in the wilds of Ashara this weekend. During the traditional Night Elf ceremony, where the Kaldarai urge spring to hasten through winter, a spirit of a drowned druid approached the gathering and warned the group of a growing taint in the land. Thanks to their swift action, the spread of the corruption, which had already taken root in a particularly scary-looking deer, the taint was stopped before it could spread further. Well done, Nightsong Sentinels. Even Tel'abim had a bit of roleplay flavor in the run-up to the Scourge invasion this month. An early assault led by a shadowy figure claiming to be an emissary of the Scourge by the name of Arthasfan was allegedly responsible for this maneuver. There were various war machines and half-constructed ziggurats crammed into the Gurabashi arena. It wasn't long until the sneak attack was discovered. In a show of defiance, the community there fought in a PvP tourney as they jeered and fought in the blood-soaked pits, unbothered by the Scourge's machinations. Arthas fan was suitably impressed and claimed that the true assault would be, quote, actually interesting, though he insisted Azeroth would not survive. We know better now. But if you're interested to see the spectacle, there is a VOD available on my YouTube channel. There is no lack of community-made content and challenges on Turtle WoW, so get involved, reach out, and make sure to make your time here memorable. That completes the community bulletin for this month. Now let's go check out the changelog for September. September enjoyed more changes than normal as the team caught up from the backlog stemming from when the tracker was down. In fact, over 50 fixes were listed. Let's take a look at the most impactful changes from the logs with this monthly changelog roundup. There was a lengthy struggle for power in the Azerothian Blacksmith Alliance. Initially, internal protests led to a change in leadership that made all shields only provide their blocking chance if properly held. Delegates from the Paladin and Shaman community, normally the largest enjoyers of block value while casting, were not pleased with the change in the reversion of the shield technology. Their leadership at the time proudly claimed, "The only real shield is one held proudly." The decision did not last long as a class action lawsuit filed by the affected paladins and shamans were able to get an injunction. Their primary complaint was that warriors get to keep their shields equipped while using vocal abilities like taunt, and the appellate judge ruled in their favor. It would seem that this shield debacle might be heading to a higher court. We'll report more on this as it continues. September also saw another lengthy legal process finish for mages. In a decision handed to Kirantor and other mage training schools, the Master of Elements talent was forced to change. Years ago, a group of elemental shamans brought a complaint before the spellcasting committee in reference to an ability trained by fire mages known as Master of Elements. Shamans, who have a training called Elemental Mastery, claimed that an ability called Master of Elements was infringing on their trademark elemental prowess. In the decision, mages will be allowed to keep the name of the training, but its ability to give a 30% mana refund multiple times during AoE attacks would be limited to only once per spell. When contacted for comment, a representative of the Elemental Shaman group was quoted saying, "They can keep the name, but we wanted them to feel what it was like to be an Elemental Shaman and not have mana. Now they'll think twice before telling everyone they are the masters of the elements." In a surprise announcement, the cruel lord of Naxxramas, Kel'Thuzad, gave a public apology to hunters and their pets. This was in response to, among dozens of other war crimes, the Archlich using his Frost Blast ability on hunter pets. The undead general said, quote, "As a loving pet owner myself, I know our beloved best friends have a habit of being where they shouldn't. I understand that in recent weeks I might have utterly obliterated some hunters' personal friends. For that, and only that, I am sorry." Kel'Thuzad then teleported away, but strangely, not a single pet has been harmed by his Frost Blast ability. A new discovery made by an ingenious gnome spread all over Azeroth this month. During the Arms and Armaments Expo in Gurabashi, a gnome warrior, wearing a lot of intellect gear, showed off a brilliant new way to use the quintessential charge technique. What made this technique so special was that he stopped charging at the edge of his melee range rather than the traditional charge to the center of the enemy. This one simple trick, while seemingly quite logical to most other classes, was a true eureka moment for warriors all over. One warrior in the crowd even remarked, "Now I don't have to jump into lava to fight Ragnaros. This is great." Those non-warriors witnessing this discovery clapped in a completely non-patronizing way as warriors raved about this radical change in movement. A few weeks ago in Eastern Plaguelands, an abandoned Scourge supply cart was discovered, its wheels seemingly broken from the massive weight of the payload. After cleansing rituals were performed by members of the Argent Dawn, it was discovered that the cart was full of war-torn chain scraps. Puzzled at what to do with the useless supplies, the Argent Dawn left the freshly repaired cart near Naxxramas in the hopes that Kel'Thuzad would pick up his trash. Days later, the cart and its contents vanished. Reports have come out from raiding parties that minions of Naxxramas are starting to be looted with a significantly larger proportion of war-torn chain scraps. And finally, the warring sides in the conflict over Vrograg Valley attended an arbitration meeting over recent internal complaints from both Horde and Alliance forces. Soldiers in their respective armies claim that the two stubborn generals were refusing to admit defeat even after they lost all objectives in their little wargame. After some tense negotiations and a fact-finding session between Vandar Stormspike and Drekthar, a completely different party was found to be at fault. As it turns out, on several occasions, the battleground did not close on either side due to an influential cadre of herbalists and fishers. These scoundrels worked over both factions and gave them false information in order to not give up. Meanwhile, these self-interested opportunists would loot the very land the two generals were fighting over. Though the two rivals could agree on little, it would seem that they both plan on no longer using players with pockets full of herbs and fish as their battlefield informants. That completes the Changelog Roundup highlights for September. New changelogs come out nearly every week, so make sure to check official channels for the latest logs so you can keep on top of all new adjustments coming to Turtle WoW. That rounds out this week's news. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. I stream Turtle WoW content regularly, and if I'm available for when the patch drops, I'm hoping to do a news flash broadcast, so pay attention to the channel announcements. If not, you can always swing by for my weekly fishing chats or for other fun events in-game. If you like this content and want to support me, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're feeling generous, super chats are enabled, and I have a tip link available. My comments, DMs, and emails are always open for feedback, constructive criticism, and any news items you'd like to have shared. All methods of reaching me will be in the description of the video. It's about time for me to head out. Whatever you're doing, make sure to have fun, be safe, and as always remember, the deadliest weapon is knowledge.